Nearly 10 years ago, Draymond Green elbowed Blake Griffin in the neck, which was a sign of things to come. Draymond showed us how reckless he was back then, and he's become more erratic as time has gone on. While Draymond is responsible for his own actions, not enough people are talking about the Warriors' role in all of this. The organization has failed to hold him in check, and they've allowed his issues to balloon way out of control. Draymond is a passionate player, and Golden State benefited from that for a long time. He always had a temper, but the Warriors brushed that off because they didn't want to suppress the fiery side of him. However, their lack of concern has caused things to go completely off the rails, and they need to be held accountable. In today's video, I'm going to analyze Draymond's behavior and explain why the Warriors bear some culpability for his issues. Before we get into it, I want to give a huge shout out to Pierre. He made a video on the Draymond Green situation and called out the Warriors for their role in his antics. It was a great video, and it inspired me to dive deeper into this issue. So again, huge shout out to Pierre. I'll have his video linked in the description. And with all of that being said, let's get into the video. At some point in everyone's life, they'll meet someone who's unable to look themselves in the mirror and reflect on their issues. Based on his actions and what he says in interviews, Draymond seems to be one of those people. He's earned a bad reputation because of all the texts and ejections he's racked up. However, Draymond is the only person who doesn't see the problem with his behavior. Whenever he gets in trouble with the refs, he typically plays the victim rather than taking accountability. During the 2022 playoffs, Draymond was ejected for this foul on Brandon Clark, and then he proceeded to sarcastically run around, hyping up the Grizzlies crowd. After the game, he disagreed with the referee's decision, suggesting that he's unfairly treated because of his reputation. Draymond often falls back on this excuse, and according to him, there's not anything he can do about it. He hasn't been willing to change, because if he really wanted to improve his relationship with the refs, he could easily do that. Draymond acts like he's been wrongly targeted all these years, when in reality he's painted the biggest possible target on his back. If you go back and watch any Warriors game, you'll likely see Draymond berate the referees on more than one occasion. If the officials treated him like a normal player, he'd be ejected virtually every game, but because he's viewed as a loose cannon, he actually gets away with quite a lot. His screaming and complaining has become a normal occurrence, so the referees put up with it and give him a long leash. Unsurprisingly, Draymond doesn't realize this. In November of 2019, Green was ejected in a game against the Jazz. He was given a technical for his reaction to a foul call, and when he kept complaining to the referees, he got thrown out of the game. Afterwards, Draymond said, "I disagreed with that call, and I'm never going to be okay with another grown man telling me, 'Don't talk.' If you feel like you got the call wrong or right, you don't tell me not to talk. I'm a grown man, I got my own kids." This was such a hypocritical thing for Draymond to say, because even if the ref was being disrespectful, he can't act like he doesn't do the exact same thing on a nightly basis. He says he deserves respect because he's a grown man with kids, but he doesn't keep that same energy when it comes to the officials. Maybe he doesn't know this, but the refs are grown men and women too, and a lot of them likely have kids. If those things demand respect, why does Draymond constantly disrespect referees that are older and more experienced than him? The refs are extremely patient with Draymond because nearly every game, he gives them a reason to tee him up or eject him. However, as soon as he feels an ounce of disrespect from an official, he gets so emotional about it. I could go on and on about Draymond's hypocrisy and lack of self-awareness, but I think I've established that he has a problem. What I want to touch on now is Golden State's involvement in all of this, and how they've contributed to Draymond's issues. When Green was ejected for putting Rudy Gobert in a chokehold, Gobert had something interesting to say about Kerr, who initially defended Draymond's actions. Gobert said, "He's backing his guy, but I think he knows. Deep inside, he doesn't want to say it, but his guy is a clown." Rudy may have been the first person to state this publicly, but many people already thought this. Draymond has been problematic for a long time, yet the Warriors continuously fed into his delusion. For years, members of the organization would repeat the same thing. "We need Draymond, and he has to keep his poise so that he can be out there for his teammates." This was such a half-hearted, unproductive way to address Draymond's problems, and Kevin Durant actually told him this. When Draymond cussed KD out in a game against the Clippers, Durant gave him a reality check. Durant told Green, "Everybody keeps saying Draymond's emotional, and that's just Draymond. That's an excuse that everybody's allowed you to have, and I'm not allowing you to use that excuse anymore." The Warriors let Draymond act out his entire career, so he never saw an issue with his behavior. In fact, when Bob Myers and the front office told Draymond they were going to suspend him for his fight with KD, Draymond laughed in their faces. His ego has prevented him from looking within, and he's continuously deflected any and all blame as a result. Golden State witnessed this on a daily basis, but they never addressed it properly. When the NBA decided to suspend Draymond indefinitely, Kerr admitted that the organization didn't have the tools needed to help Green, and that he'd be able to get proper assistance from people who are experts in the field. This was eye-opening to me, because as I've discussed in this video, the behavior Draymond's demonstrated this season is nothing out of the ordinary. In an article written by ESPN, Maurice Spates claimed that Draymond hurt the team during their 73-9 season. Draymond would constantly yell and scream at his teammates as a form of motivation, but according to Spates, it hurt the whole chemistry of the year. As good as Draymond is, he's not a superstar, and at that point in his career he was just 25 years old. He rubbed veterans like Spates the wrong way, because even though they knew Green had good intentions, his method of leadership was not the best. That same season, Draymond got into a huge shouting match with Steve Kerr at halftime in a game against OKC. Draymond's tone was so concerning that the Oklahoma police feared they would have to de-escalate the situation. In spite of all that, Golden State was still able to reach the finals that year. However, Draymond got suspended because he couldn't control his emotions, and Cleveland made a 3-1 comeback. 2 years later, he had a heated exchange with KD, which played a role in Durant's departure. Then, just ahead of last season, Draymond punched Jordan Poole in the face, which messed up the chemistry and turned that season into a lost cause. In between those major events, Draymond was consistently near the top of the league in technicals and ejections, so you can't convince me the Warriors didn't see an escalating problem. They were either too afraid to confront Draymond, or they thought that if they tried to tone him down, it would hinder their ability to win titles. The Warriors have needed his passion to win championships, but his emotions have hurt the team on many occasions as well. By failing to establish a set of guidelines with Draymond, he's become out of control and developed bad habits. Draymond Green is a grown man, and he's responsible for his own actions. However, the organization could have provided better assistance throughout his career, and they failed to do so. For that reason, the Warriors bear some responsibility for Draymond's issues. Anyways, that's going to be all for today's video. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. With all of that being said, I'm out, and I'll see you in the next video.